My name is Michael, and this is loud for you, I guess. Okay, so while Microsoft is a little bit over time, and me, Swiss guy, time matters. But it's not a problem. I enjoyed that, although I didn't get a lot. My Czech is still very bad. I'm trying to improve that over time now. So today, I'm going to talk about analytics and analytics of things. We are going to make value out of the data that IoT operational areas are actually producing. So you have heard probably quite a lot about the topic of operational systems. So I would like to talk about Formula One with you now. Who likes Formula One? All right, some people there must be young people who are fascinated about Formula One. All right. So, who won Singapore? The race in Singapore. Who won that? Anyone knows? No one knows? I give you a hint, it was a German. Okay? Rings a bell, Nico Rosberg, it was. And why I'm taking this example here, because it was fascinating. This race was just brilliant. The last 4 rounds, Red Bull was catching up. Mercedes was going ahead. And the guy over this microphone in the Red Bull car heard 4 more rounds, you're gonna get him. So they knew exactly how quick he is going. They knew exactly how good his tires were. They were confident that Red Bull is catching up and is gonna get Mercedes. Well, Nico Rosberg anyway won. Why? Because he could have made a mistake and he would be flying out. He had an accident or something like that. Luckily, nothing happened. But in the end, Nico Rosberg won. Although all the data that the guys could gather from the car, the parts that are measured in a regular basis, all those parts are measured, from the tires to the fuel to the different parts that are in there. They're all being sent back to a system that is giving you a lot of advice what is the best strategy to do. Now this is great. This is the race in Singapore, which Nico Rosberg with Mercedes won, and Red Bull went just on the 2nd place. Now the next one was in Malaysia, then there is Japan, then there is New Mexico, there is the US, there are many different places, and this is the difference. The car, the drivers, and the whole equipment need to be looked at in the environment where they produce the data. So the strategies are always changing. Although it's the same equipment, more or less what they're using, it's a car what they're using, but you need to look at the data that is being gathered in the context where it stands. And I think that's the first point I would like to bring to you. Keep that in mind when you do your analysis of data, of things that are generating data. Look at it where they sit, where they are, and look at the environment of that. So, in general, we are knowing that, the Internet of Things will give rise to the algorithm economy. We believe strongly that analytics, analyzing data, is going to be the backbone of Internet of Things. You can collect as much as data as you want. If you don't analyze it properly, you will not get any value out of it. So analytics, data analysis is going to be key in your overall architecture from an IT perspective. Second thing is that also the Fortune magazine has been giving a statement about this, and they were clearly saying that in the Internet of Things world, this is one toolbar, there is going to be an algorithmic CEO. It's the algorithmic CEO who will bring artificial and mental power, additional artificial and mental power, based on the data that is being generated. This is not only in the financial sector. This is in customer behavior. This is in predictive maintenance topics. This is in many different areas where exactly this point is being looked at, that data will trigger new decisions. And this is why We believe that IoT is just creating a lot more data. So if you read this picture here, you see IoT and data that are being generated need to be analyzed. Analytics being applied to it. And only when you act upon this, what you are analyzing, only after that you will generate value. Those are new values. Can be new values such as efficiencies. In manufacturing, we see a lot of efficiencies that you can gain from, we see quality of life. And I think some of the gentlemen before have been talking about hospitals and how can we improve the patient's quality of life. We have seen similar use cases around that. When a city is alarming the people who have asthmatic diseases to stay rather at home or close the windows because of emergency and air pollution, this is quality of life, Internet of Things triggers. Early warnings, if it is in a utility, if it is in manufacturing, early warnings are needed to avoid catastrophic failures. And the new business models. Now, what has that to do with IoT, new business models? And the most exciting customer engagement I had, I would like to share a little bit later. So stay tuned, don't walk away. I'll talk about that in a minute. So if we look at this now and see we need to sense, we need to understand, and we need to act, and only with that create the values. Good. What are the customer examples that I brought today with me? And some of them are really great. Since we talked about healthcare, I start with that right now. We have a client that is a service company to hospitals and to health insurances. These guys are analyzing data from the patients that are having wearables on them. Those are certified wearables. This is not the wearables you and I know about. We have a nice watch. Those are certified wearables that are every hospital is usually using. They're using this data and they're making sure that readmission of patients is not happening. When a patient is being let go home after his cure, after his diseases, he is let go and the hospital doesn't want to see him again. And hopefully that is not happening. So readmission is key to avoid. That is the use case, and they're doing data analytics from historic information they have, but also from the area of the patient's data, how to and when to let the people go. Another one which is really interesting is about the topic of connected cars. Connected cars, I think we are all aware that connected cars is a real great IoT case. And everyone who drives a car knows that the data of how I'm driving and where am I driving is actually being sent back and used for your GPS allocation. Where is more traffic? Which road should I take? Dynamic adaptation. This data is already being used today. Now, the good thing is that it's not just happening in our private cars, it happens in trucks as well, and this is a huge business case for truck manufacturers. Why? Truck manufacturers today, they are not selling trucks only. They are selling tons from A to B with a service level agreement over a time period. Now, how is that changing their life? It's not about the truck has to run, that's clear, but it has to run according to a service level agreement. So that is why reliability suddenly is really important for them. And this is why they're collecting data regularly, they collect alarms from the cars and from the trucks, and they are making decisions on the spot when and where the truck has to go to a workshop, to a garage to get repaired. It's brilliant. And interesting is the same data, and insurance is exactly also interested about this. So those insurance companies who have telematics, they're exactly thinking about understanding how the people are really driving in this car or in this truck, make pay as you drive, pay as or how you drive tariffs, maybe on a yearly basis, and give this back to the clients as a goodie to drive better, give them advice. That's great. Who would do that, really? My driving behavior, I don't want anyone to know about that. I'm a horrible driver. Problem is that they are not using it only for that behavior. They're using it only also for me when I'm at the airport, and I'm very often at the airport. Every time when I'm at the airport, they could send me a message and sell me a travel insurance. And now we are starting about disrupting at new business models. I talked about that a little bit. This is one example. Insurance company that are talking to us, they want to leverage the data not just for their tariffing schemes and better risk calculations. No, it's about new services, more personalized services. Now, there is also a crane manufacturer that we are talking to. Imagine, those guys have cranes in big harbors. They are unloading the containers from the ships, and they're putting it onto the rail system. If one of those boats stays half an hour, 45 minutes longer in that harbor, it costs everyone money. And if it's because of a crane, one of those industrial cranes, that company has a problem because they are paying the penalties. That's a service level agreement, so they want to know exactly when potential failure is going to happen in their cranes. Now, that is a good thing, but if you think about having 1 million elevators, and I'm from Switzerland, there's a big elevator manufacturer in Switzerland. Think about that. They have the escalators and elevators across the world. They have to monitor millions of installations. So if they can monitor better where to send, when, who, to fix it, before they fail, they will gain good reputation and close customer contacts that are using the escalators and lifts. I promised there is a new business model arena that we have to talk about. That's the last example. So we are talking to a manufacturing company. They are manufacturing machines for producing food. So probably some of that stuff we had during the lunch break has been going through those machines at a point of time, because they are manufacturing flour, they're manufacturing pasta, rice, all of that across the world. 60% market share worldwide. Now imagine they have a strategy. They say, IoT is for me a new business. I want to have a revenue target, call it 100 million Swiss francs, which unfortunately today is about 100 million euros. Not for us, for the Swiss, but for the Germans. But they are saying 100 million Swiss francs 2020. That's the target on IoT services. Amazing. How do they do this? Easy. They're taking the data from the equipment that their customers are running. They are mixing it up with data from, for example, on a flour recipe. They have profitability per recipe and give this back to their clients, because some of them don't do that. And they're selling this as a product. Now they have defined several products about that and said, if we are getting the data from our customers, we are making money with giving it back to them, enriched with new things, and really having a business case there. Those are new service arenas that they are talking about. So now we have talked about the business cases, the different efficiencies and so on, but I wonder if we all understand how that really works. Okay, let's look at that picture here. At the upper part, you really see the sensors that are being deployed. They are being stored, the data, and analytics is being applied. If we look from left to right, first of all, we need to have easy access to the data, to the sensor data. Now, if this sits in an Azure cloud, if this sits in an operational system that is already in place where data is being captured, an IoT platform, whatever. We need to get it. We need to get it in real time or in batch. Once we have the data, we need to, once we have collected it, we need to make sure it's clean data. It doesn't make any sense to analyze rubbish because you only get rubbish out of it. So let's clean the data, make sure you have quality data. You enrich the data. We are in the second pillar. And that means we are bringing new data things in. Data things could be from ERP solutions. We are bringing data in from ERP solutions to, for example, make a calculation how profitable is that flour recipe those guys are producing. And then you need the data, and then it starts being interesting. You have everything together, and then you need a collaboration model that an engineer or a businessman who knows what to do with the data works with the people that are data scientists. Data scientists are the guys that know exactly how to treat the software. What are the right algorithms? What are the right analyses to do? What are the techniques that I have to apply so that it gets me to the result that I want to have? No, that the engineer or the businessman wants to have. And only with this collaboration you will get a proper outcome from what the data you have collected from. Now, with this, you still have to act. So this is why at the top you see sensors and actuators. And the actuators can be directly into a process from a manufacturing client. It can be an API call. It can be an action that is being triggered. And again, this is where value is only created when you do your analysis and act upon it. Good. Now, what are the components then that we have to look at? I'm sorry, go back one. The components that we have to look at is, first of all, the data. We talked about the data, IoT data, sensor information, digitalized new processes that are there. We have to capture the data, make sure it's clean. The discovery process. What is the discovery process? It's not really independent, but it's certainly something that is relevant. You will have to get a first glimpse at your data quickly. Look at your data quick. You have a thesis in mind, and everyone who has done data analysis wants to prove something. I want to prove that this recipe is not profitable. I want to prove that this machine is going to fail 2 weeks from now. Those are the things that you have in mind when you start a data analysis. Do this quick with an environment that helps you. Now, imagine you have found the reason why the machine is failing because you have done a root cause analysis that is supported by the software. Or you know which recipe is not really profitable. You need to deploy that. Deploy means the acting piece that I talked about before. Acting upon this. Make sure that you are now implementing this into your process. So when we look at this now, it looks like a process really. So look at it from the middle when we have a life cycle of my data. I ask in the middle, what is my hypothesis? I'll then start preparing the data in my discovery process. I do the exploration quickly, dragging, dropping data, putting the things together and make sure you get first results. You start creating your first model, your analytical model that will give you a result, proving or not proving your hypothesis. And this needs to be done quick, fail fast. If you don't fail fast, you will do analysis, you will lose time. And again, I'm Swiss, time is money. So that's important to make this discovery process quick. Once you've found the problem, then go quickly into the deployment process. Deployment process, implement your solution, act upon it, and evaluate it. Now, evaluation is really key as well, because evaluation means that you are regularly looking at the performance of the model that you have created. Now imagine you create a model for failure. Weather is changing, you have different data coming in, you have new processes that you have to look in a manufacturing environment, in a factory. These models are changing, degrading, not accurate. You have to do that often. So your model management, how accurate your model are, is driving your model management. So the analytical models need to be looked at in a very detailed way, and performance needs to be done on a regular basis. This is the evaluation scheme in here. This is why we have looked at two ways of looking at the infrastructure. On one side, you, with the data, identify and evaluate, explore and do your analysis quickly, and you have to operationalize in the factory. Make sure that your analytical life cycle is not broken, and also streaming data can come into play here as well. Okay, now a lot about technology we talked about, and we have not talked about some other factors. And instead of me talking, I'll have someone with me that will bring this to you probably just right on the spot.
To me, what's happening in the market today with the Internet of Things and our strategy around the connected enterprise, it's bringing it all together. It is that vision of how do we have visibility to our full operations? How do we give people the right information that they need to make better business decisions? A lot of times people think IoT is about just sensor data to the cloud. Nobody's going to run their manufacturing operations, their oil and gas operations 100% in the cloud. There's things that have to happen real time that need to be, the decisions need to be made right there. What's cool about the technology today is that same data that you're using for real-time operations can also be used at the edge in the cloud without disrupting your real-time production. In order for us to actually get the benefit from the technology landscape today, we need to come together. There needs to be that IT-OT convergence, not just on the technology front, but with the people, throughout the processes. That's how we're going to get this real-time visibility to the operations that is going to allow companies to be more productive and competitive in the market. So I think by partnering with folks like Rockwell, combined with SaaS and our end customers together, we're going to be able to put together new business cases that people aren't even thinking about today. And I think bringing experts in their own discipline together and collaborating, I think we're all going to win.
Can I get more light? Otherwise people fall asleep. Thank you. All right, thank you, Beth. Was brilliant. What was she talking about? She was talking about people, processes, and technology. And I think those are the three areas that we need to look after in an enterprise who wants to implement analytics for IoT. And I think this is the areas where we obviously from SaaS can provide technology and expertise around how some of our customers have organized, what kind of processes they're having, and also what kind of people that they have in place to do what I just explained. So who are we? Who is this company? We are not Scandinavian Airlines. That's often what we get really confused about. Yeah, you laugh. We get calls from booking reservation from people, but it's anyway. It's not this. We are a $3 billion company. We do nothing else but analytics. We are 14,000 people with a strong representation also in Czech Republic. And for the young people of you, I really think you should look into analytics, into data scientists, and maybe that's a future employer for you as well. So, last but not least, I'd like to mention the survey that we have done. We have done a survey. Yes, thank you. And this is something to look at, if you're interested in how executives, we have been interviewing 75 executives that have done IoT projects and used analytics for it. And those are across different industries. They are in industries such as manufacturing, energy, government, many different arenas. They're working, and they are, based on a survey we have done, giving their perspective about IoT, what went wrong, what went well, and what are the risks and challenges in there, and also what to look for, and what is the vision that those guys were having. That brings me to the end. For the people who still are awake and sit in here in the dark instead of outside where sun is shining, I thank you very much and wish you a good remaining day.